Hey, do you remember the pro-Israel rally?
Pro-genocide rally.
Really, the pro-genocide rally, I guess, at that time?
Oh, guy with like the crazy psycho that spoke at it?
John Hagee?
Yeah.
Hagee.
Here he is now.
He was a featured speaker, Sam, just want to say. And this is the guy that had said God created, or sent Hitler to create Israel. So.
Here's what he's hoping happens next. This is Pastor John Hagee being interviewed by Pastor Matt Hagee, who happens to be his son, and that they're at Hagee Ministries in San Antonio, Texas.
What exactly did you see last night that you want to share with the people this morning?
Prophetically, we are on the verge of the Gog-Magog war that Ezekiel described in chapters 38 and 39. This attack by Iran, who launched more than 200 missiles yesterday, is a tribute to the weak and pathetic leadership of Joe Biden.
Giant arena.
I assure you, if Ronald Reagan was president, we wouldn't be in this mess.
They wanted Trump.
Iran attacked Israel one day after our president looked into the face of the camera and said, "Don't." Don't you know they just laid on the ground and trembled with fear?
Pause it for 1 second. Just for folks who aren't as ancient as John Hagee. Ronald Reagan actually inserted U.S. Marines into Lebanon in the wake of Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982. Subsequent to that, 253 U.S. Marines, I don't know, maybe it was more, I can't remember, this is off the top of my head, were killed in a suicide explosion outside a barracks in Beirut, I believe, or in the outskirts of Beirut, at which time Ronald Reagan took all of the U.S. forces out and skedaddled.
Oh, he didn't say this is Magog and Agog or whatever?
He didn't go like, he didn't look into it. Now, the way he dealt with that, so that he was not subject to criticism for being weak-kneed and running from the thing, was to literally, I think the next day, I thought there was actually some like time span, but I think it was literally the next day or 2 days later, after withdrawing U.S. Troops, invaded Grenada. What is Grenada? Good question. It was basically an island in the Caribbean, or it still is, which supposedly there was a socialist element there.
Yeah. We did an interview about this a few months ago, actually.
Students at a medical school there, and we liberated them. And they were all like, whoa, what are you guys doing here? We were just going to school, playing tennis, essentially. So I just wanted to fill you in with that sort of like little background. It's weird that he cited Reagan and not Trump.
That's why the crowd was like, okay, we're still doing the Reagan stuff, all right.
Because and people have been quiet about Reagan but all of a sudden he's coming
They've
back.
all died off. That remember?
Well, Trump. I mean, maybe he's not saying Trump because Trump has said now you've gone too far. Like this looks really bad for you. Looking at it from the PR perspective,
Maybe I think they'll still roll with Trump.
I'm sure they will. But
Don't you know they just laid on the ground and trembled with fear? They were loading the launch pad right then. The Democrats are trying to advise Israel to de-escalate, which is music to the ears of Hamas and Iran. We don't need to de-escalate. Hamas started a war murdering Jewish people. Hamas needs to be wiped out, period.
can you pause it for a sec? So why does John Hagee, as he's not Jewish, why does he love Israel so much, right? I mean, is it to save all of the Jewish people, to make sure that...
Are you asking rhetorically or seriously?
I'm asking rhetorically.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
teeing you up. Because his final vision for what Israel would be is not one of prosperity and life for Jewish people.
Oh, no. I mean, look, the biggest organization that funds, sort of lobbying efforts for Israel in the country is Kufi, of which John Hagee was its founder in 1992. They have over 10 million members that are designed specifically. They call it Kufi because it's Christians United for Israel. And then it just talks about the fight against anti-Semitism. You know how you get rid of anti-Semitism if you're Kufi? You just convert all the Jews into, when the Messiah comes back, we're no longer Jews anymore.
But what happens to them when if they
two-thirds of Jews go into eternal hellfire, and 1/3 sits on the right-hand side of God. As I've said many times before, I am ineligible for the eternal hellfire because of my eczema, which is extremely sensitive.
You're going to convert to once John Hagee tells you?
I've put in that I want to be on the right-hand side of God, not the eternal hellfire, because I'm looking for a medical dispensation.
It's a shame those are the only two options, because even the right hand of the God stuff, it's like, I got to be at the right hand of this guy for eternity.
Yeah, I mean, would he let you get away with anything fun? Would he even let you
your
smoke
parents
weed?
are home all the time.
My understanding, high-speed internet. That's the only thing that was like, that's what...
There's dial-up in hell, and that's tough.
You're never home alone in heaven.
Right.
Is there more that we should hear from this guy?
Have concessions here?
So you heard me say love is not what you do. Love is not what you say, it's what you do. So what are we going to do about it? The providential timing of God is an awesome thing. Early in the week, when I began to feel the way this was going, I told our Christians United for Israel organization, we're going to have a Washington, D.C. fly-in. This is an emergency fly-in. That means you fly in one day instantly and have a meeting with Congress. After the service today, I'm going to get on a plane and fly to Washington, D.C. 250 more leaders from across the nation are going to converge there also. We're going to...
All right, we don't need to, just know that this is massive. When we talk about lobbyists on behalf of Israel, Kufi is, as far as I know, the biggest.
And it's not talked enough about how Christian Zionists and evangelicals in this country are a massive driver of U.S. support for Israel. It's another reason why you should not be conflating Jewish people with Zionists or with Zionism. There are many forces, including the Christian Zionists, who want to see 2/3 of Jewish people burn in eternal hellfire so the Messiah will come back. And of course, the military-industrial complex, as it's called, that has a very symbiotic relationship with Israel, the top recipient of U.S. weapons.
And it's not a surprise to me that you would see something emerge like Jim Crow or whatever in Israel when you have benefactors like these ones in America. Like it follows the money, I think.